All right, everybody, welcome into another episode of the College Court Report podcast. It is Friday, February the 2nd. Myself, Tyler Bennett, with Ryan Scarfone, who is a little under the weather this week. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing okay. If I start coughing or if I pass out, you can see me over. You can see my face. Just send help because I'm obviously not doing too well. But I'm getting a lot better. I've been sipping on honey lemon teas from Tim Hortons. That is not a paid advertisement, but they are damn good. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you've had to steer clear of coffee the last little bit, so you're saying that's a bit of a struggle. So,
Yeah, I'm a little tense right now. If I start swearing at you because I haven't had my daily dose of coffee, I know it's still like I'm drinking caffeine in tea, but like there's nothing like sipping on a nice cup of coffee. I know you don't even know a thing about that because you hate coffee.
Coffee's all bad for you.
And I don't understand. I don't understand. Dude, don't tell me what's bad for you. I've heard your party stories. Don't
That
tell
was back
me what's
in my younger
bad
days,
for
my
you.
party days. So I've moved on. Beer 6 days a week.
I didn't know beer was healthy.
In college, that's for sure. But that's another story for another day. Lots to get to in the past week since we talked last week. I guess the headlines that everybody's talking about is Michigan State, the sexual assault, sexual abuse scandals, and allegations surrounding football and basketball. Nobody's really saying anything on the Michigan State sidelines, especially in basketball. Izzo has avoided the topic in the last two press conferences, which, in my view, it's good and bad, I guess, because it's good that he can't say anything wrong or use the wrong choice of words again. But it's bad that he's not really helping the case. He's not really addressing the situation. He's just kind of throwing it under the rug. But they have won 5 straight. Spartans are 21-3, 9-2. What do you make of this whole Izzo keeping quiet situation?
Well, when I was watching the tail end of that Michigan State Penn State game, I was surprised. Well, I wasn't really surprised that they were kind of losing to Penn State at the beginning, but they eventually won. But I wasn't really surprised that Izzo had nothing to say or that he deflected comments. It's all really part of the public relations process. I mean, he has people coaching him on what to do, what to say, and it's literally not the right time probably to say anything because they just have to make sure that everyone's on the same page on what they're going to say. And yeah, it seems kind of like forced or that they're trying to create this perfect message, which at the same time does not seem genuine, but it's just all, I expect it. It's just all part of PR, and they don't want to say the wrong thing and then have to backtrack, and because they're already in hot water as it is, so they want to, I guess, say the right thing. Now, as it pertains to this whole situation, he's been said that he's been very cooperative with the whole situation. Like when the time comes, he'll do everything it takes to make sure everyone gets the right information, which I kind of respected. And I don't know the full extent of how involved he is or what he did in the past. Like that's what I want to know. Cause like, I want to know, did he have any sort of knowledge in any of this? Did any of his players do anything like as it relates to like sexual harassment and he knew about it and he chose not to do anything? I just want to know that. I'm glad he said he wants to be cooperative with the investigation. That's a good step. But it's just it's a fishy situation. College basketball's been rocked.
When the report first came out, it said that him and Mark D'Antonio from the football team would be retiring in the next few days, and then Izzo came out and said that he's not retiring, like he's going to cooperate with all the investigations and whatnot. But the whole thing stems from the administration, like the very top, because they let the coaches handle the situations. And I mean, the coaches are leaders, but they're not well equipped to handle this type of situation. And that's why you have administration. That's why you have councils, I guess, to oversee these situations. If they just deflected it and said, "Here, you handle it," if they knew about it, then that's on everybody. But I don't know. It's hard to determine if Izzo knew anything or knew something, but not everything. But apparently, the NCAA was made aware of allegations in 2010, and it didn't do anything, and it's been 8 years. So it impacts everybody, and I don't know who's at fault or what, but nothing's really come out to provide any clarity to the situation.
Yeah, I tell you, like, if they did know about it, if any of these coaches know about it, obviously the administration at Michigan State, who's since resigned, I'm assuming they knew about it.
Mhm.
And, people at the NCAA that knew about it, they all should be held responsible. They should all be sent out the door, because, like, this type of stuff has to go. This type of stuff has to, it's just not, it can't be tolerated. Like, the whole culture has to be changed. And unless these people who, I'm not saying Izzo did anything or D'Antonio did anything, but if they did, and regardless of how good of a coach they were and how nice they seem, they still need to be held accountable, because that's the only way you're going to make change and move
Yeah,
forward
it'll
with all this.
be obvious. Obviously, the culture has to change at Michigan State, and I think they've started to do that with the president resigning and Mark Hollis resigning, and for Hollis to resign and say he's not running away from the investigation, it's kind of a mixed signal because he's resigning, but he's still going to cooperate. So I don't know how he's going to factor into everything. But you look at like Penn State with Joe Paterno and Jerry Sandusky, that was a big culture shock for the Nittany Lions, and they're just bouncing back now with football and basketball. Then you've got Baylor, whose football team was in shambles this year because of their culture change. You have to wonder, Michigan State's going to be the next one up to get that culture shock, and it'll help the university regardless. But I wonder how many other schools out there have the same thing. And I've said it before, I think almost every school has issues like this in the athletics department. And it's only a matter till other ones get caught. But it's unfortunate. That's all I can say is it's really unfortunate that these things still happen in today's society.
Yeah, you almost like kind of wonder, what other schools out there, what other coaches know something fishy happening around their program and just not saying anything. And you start like thinking of some coaches and you're like, oh, he would never do that, or he or she would never do that. Just stuff like that. And then like stuff comes out that they do. And it's just like, geez, you thought you don't know them, but you thought you knew somebody, and you thought that they like, I'm like, it's not for sure if Coach Izzo knew anything, but if you would have told me that Coach Izzo did know, I would be really surprised, just because he's a very well respected coach, treats his players well, seems very nice. So I would be very surprised by that.
Yeah, and everybody knows me. I bleed green and white until the day I die, and I would have never expected this from both football and basketball. Like the thought wouldn't have crossed my mind of either of them. With the coaches being involved, yes or no. Like I would have never guessed that this would have come out about Izzo and D'Antonio, but time will tell how it all plays out, and everything's going to come out in the wash sooner or later, regardless of what school you're at. So we'll have to give it time and see, but it hasn't been a good end of 2017, start of 2018 for Michigan State in athletics with Larry Nassar, Nacer, whatever it is. I just want to call him by his prison number now, but I don't have it. So
the scumbag, 175 years,
doesn't deserve to have his name said any longer. It's just prisoner number or whatever.
Should be in there longer than 175 years.
Well, just he's gonna die in prison. They should just leave his body in there. Feed it to some.
Should be 275.
Feed it to some dogs or something. Let them decompose and rot into the floor of the prison.
Why do people think that's okay? Like, it boggles my mind. Jesus Christ.
I don't even want to begin to fathom a thought of what went through their minds, because they have to get to some sadistic place to even do something like that. So I'm good not thinking about how that came to be. I'll pass.
Yeah, it's just next topic.
But they're not the only school with coaches involved in the headlines for negative reasons. You go to Colorado State, and for the second February in a row, Larry Eustace is being investigated for conduct yet again. Last February, there was an investigation done about the culture of the team. He was accused of creating a culture of fear and intimidation with the players, and was even accused of emotionally abusing the players. But then in October of 2016, he was extended through 2021, over $1 million per season. And now he's under investigation again. They're doing a, quote, climate assessment of the team that will include conversations with the students and staff members associated with men's basketball. But then a former guard from last season, Jean Clavel, came out and said if they part ways with Eustace, that is a horrible move. I don't know much about the situation. I don't know much about Eustace and his culture that he's, I guess, creating Colorado State. And they had their off-court issues last season towards the end of the year. But they were tied to academics. I don't really know what to make of the whole thing. What are your thoughts on Mr. Eustace being investigated for the second February in a row? It's becoming more of an annual thing than anything else.
Well, when I worked at the Mountain West Basketball Conference tournament in Vegas last year, I was working with a lot of Colorado State people, and they said that they loved Coach Eustace. He's quirky, and I even watched him at the game, and he's just he's full of energy. Kind of seems a little weird at times, but they told me about all the situation that happened in the past. With the pictures with the girls and alcohol and going into rehab, and he seemed fine and all that. But so they like him, but whether or not he treats his players right, that's another story. And with the whole Jean Clavel thing, Colorado State people were telling me that he had issues with a girlfriend that he was with, and that she was kind of saying fake stories about him and stuff like that, and he had to get a restraining order against him. So I guess maybe Coach Eustace might have helped him through that. That's why maybe he has so much respect for him. I'm not sure, but it's hard to really know whether or not it would be a good move, because we don't really know what he's done. If he's creating a culture of abuse and players don't want to show up and play, obviously stuff has to be done. Maybe because not all players react to abuse like that. It's not the old days where you can start cussing people out and say be a man and stuff like that. Kids are different nowadays. Everyone's different, so I don't know. I don't know if it would be a good move or not. He's done pretty well at Colorado State, but definitely if he's creating that kind of culture of fear and stuff like that, then I think steps need to be made to move on. Maybe
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say keep Eustace there, and coaches are gonna yell at players. They're gonna yell at you when you mess up, and if you make a soft play in practice, they're going to yell at you. They're going to get on you. And it's tough love, whether they like it or not.
But there's a difference between tough love and yelling at you. Because all coaches, I've been yelled at by coaches. And then there's another thing to call people effing C words, which he said.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that most coaches have used words like that in practice before, and I just think people are too sensitive these days, and I don't know. I just think the public and everybody else kind of blows it out of proportion. I mean, every coach is going to have their heated moments. Every coach is going to have those instances where they yell something and they take it back, and like they wish they could kind of eat their words a bit and rewind 5 seconds and let it go and not say it. But in the heat of the moment, stuff's going to come out that you don't necessarily mean. And I get Stacey has a bit of a track record with this kind of thing. Like he resigned from Iowa State and because it came out that he partied with students after a loss in '03 and um, all these other things, like the second investigation in a year. But like you said, on the sidelines, he's quirky, he's invested, he's full of energy on the bench, and that's a coach you want to have. And if I was a student athlete, I'd want my coach to get on me if I made a bad play. And you can't you have to take it with a grain of salt because if you messed up in practice, you deserve to be yelled at and exploited and shown how to do better. And I guess maybe there's different ways he can go about it, but I think I'm going to side with Clavel. If you like getting rid of Eustace would be a terrible move, I think, for Colorado State, and I just think people need to literally man up and quit complaining over the littlest things.
I don't know. I don't know. Kids are different nowadays.
Don't be a bitch about it.
It's not being a bitch about it. It's just like there's a way you're yelling at 18 to 22-year-olds. Like, just calm down. Like, sure, I missed a layup. I understand that I need to make that layup. So you don't have to call me an F and C word to get me to do it, you know? I think there's other ways.
I'm sure it wasn't over a missed layup.
I'm just saying, I think there's other ways. You can still yell at coaches. I've been yelled at without being called like a bitch or just stuff like that. Like I've been yelled without that being said. Like you can yell and there's tough love, but you don't need to abuse people that way. I that stems on bullying, and it's not about being sensitive. It's just about like being a decent human being and showing respect. Like, you don't need to call people that.
The only way we'll know for sure if he used those exact words if there were cameras at every practice. I'm willing to bet some of those are allegations that are false. They are fabricated rumors
Maybe
to blow things out of proportion. And again, it comes back to every coach is going to swear. Every coach is going to let those words slip. It's bound to happen. I've coached kids and I've let it go before too.
A coach can swear, obviously. Like, he can be like, but like directing it to people and calling them, it's just, I don't know.
I'm still going to side I'm going to side with you, Stacey, and say keep him on board. There's no way for sure to know this has happened unless you put cameras in every practice.
Well, obviously, but like if it comes out that he has been saying all that, and what if
man up? All I can say is man up.
If you have, that's a very 50s point of view from you. If you have players that don't want to show up and play for this coach because they just keep getting abused and all that, as an athletic director, what do you do?
Call them soft and side with the coach. I don't know.
Oh my god!
It comes back to there's no, again, like I'm repeating myself, but there's no clear way to know. You can do an investigation. Everybody's going to have a different take on it. You're going to ask 15 guys on a roster, and 15 guys are going to have a different story. Everybody takes it differently. Everybody takes it in a different way.
All I'm saying is you can yell, you can scream, you can show that passion, and you can get on players and yell at them. You can swear if you want. I've heard coaches swear. You don't have to swear and like abuse players by calling them bitches or whatnot. We're like, they're college kids. Like, relax. They got a quiz tomorrow in economics that they have to study for.
Well, again, like Michigan State, time will tell how Colorado State administration handles the second annual Larry Eustace conduct investigation. But I'm siding with Clavel and Eustace and so let's the Rams keep on trucking.
You do you, man.
We'll check back in February of 2019 for the third annual conduct investigation to see how this all plays out.
All right, right here, right now, at this time.
Complete the trilogy.
Yeah.
A little more positive note in the ACC. Virginia, number 2, knocking on the door of the number 1 ranking in the country. Picked up quite a few first place votes the past week. 21-1, 10-0. The question is simple: is it Virginia's year?
To be honest, I don't know, because I always get so high on Virginia. Like, I've been high on Virginia for the last couple years, and then they cop out. And I know that they've had a great year so far. They've only lost one game, that was to West Virginia, to the Virginia out west from them. I think it was on December 5th.
That was a terrible joke.
68,
that was the most points they allowed all year, too.
And their track record shows, like, they beat great teams: Louisville, Duke, Clemson, Syracuse, North Carolina.
Hashtag defense wins championships.
I mean, and like they're fun to watch. They're a good team.
They've got. Hold on, you just said Virginia, who are slow as hell in terms of pace, defensive minded.
Yeah,
they're fun to watch. That's a sentence I don't think many people have said about Virginia basketball, but continue. I just wanted to make sure that's what I heard.
Whether or not it's their year or not, I don't know, because there's been lots of times when they've been, first overall seed or they've been number 2 and they're supposed to do well, and then they just lose. They get upsetted. So even though they've only lost one game this year, I'm not really. Me and my friend the other day were having a chat about this. I'm not sold on Virginia until I see that. Like, if they win the ACC, then I'll be like, okay, I think they have a good shot at like winning the national championship. They obviously have a shot right now, but if they win the ACC, then I'll be like, okay, they're a major contender. But until then, I don't know. I just feel like they're about to go down.
Interesting little take. I'll go opposite. I'll say yes. 10-0. They've been battle tested in the ACC. They've passed every big test they've had so far. You mentioned Duke, Louisville. They just beat Louisville by 10, 74-64. And the 64 points they allowed were the third most they've allowed all year. They haven't allowed a team to score more than 68 points. That's incredible. And you've got 3 guys, their top 3 scorers, are all shooting above 41% from 3. They have balance on offense. Their defense is incredible. Coach Bennett, you shouldn't bet against, regardless of who he has on his team. What they lost from last year to this year, I don't think anybody expected them to be number 2 in the country, 21-1, 10-0.
I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the season, they had all like the ACC writers had them finishing like middle of the pack. Like they had I didn't even have Virginia in my top 25 at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and I said on Tuesday this week, and then last Monday on the podcast as well, preseason rankings are just noise. They're noise and clickbait. And I think a plethora of teams this year are proving that. And Virginia's head of the class. And I think if they're 3 games ahead in the ACC right now. And if they can win the ACC, I don't think they won't go perfect. They won't go 18-0. No chance. if they can get that loss out of the way now, win the title, regular season, win the postseason title, go in as a 1 seed, they are so battle-tested in the ACC that there's no reason why they can't win it all.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, they're playing outstanding right now. Teams obviously at the beginning of the year played outstanding. Notre Dame and not playing outstanding right now. They've been playing outstanding for like the whole year, so they've piqued my interest. But until they win that ACC championship, or if they even like make it to the finals and then like lose or whatever, I'll still be somewhat invested in them. But if they don't, then it's just going to be another Virginia team that copped out.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like they have their. It was a few years ago they played Coastal Carolina as a 1 seed, and the Chanticleers were 16. They were down at halftime, and everybody got excited that we'd have a 16 beat a 1, and then Virginia just came back and crushed everybody's dream, and miserable. But I don't know. I think everybody's bracket would have been busted, but I don't know. I just have a gut feeling that they're going to be a team that's going to be around for a while come March, whether they win the ACC title or not. I just think they're going to hang around and they can contend with everybody, and they've passed every test so far except for West Virginia, and they only lost by 7 on the road, so that's pretty good. But they've got a big game this weekend against Syracuse on the road in the Carrier Dome. That'll be tough.
They have a very manageable last stretch of games. Like Syracuse, Florida State, Virginia Tech, Miami, Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh, Louisville, Notre Dame.
So their toughest 2 games are the last 2 of the season.
Their toughest games are probably Miami and at Louisville.
Miami's not fully healthy. Yeah, those last 3 games will be the toughest, but I take that back. They could very well go 2-0.
I can see them losing. To maybe Syracuse, maybe Louisville. Miami's hurt, like you said. Maybe if on March 3rd, if Bonzie Colson comes back and everything clicks for the Irish and Matt Farrell's back, maybe they could pull off the upset. I don't know. It's at Virginia for the Notre Dame game to end the season, so.
That was a lot of ifs for Notre Dame in that sentence.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of ifs. This, watch our last podcast.
This whole season's a lot of ifs for Notre Dame.
Listen to the last podcast. We went in depth on Notre Dame.
This whole season's a wife for Notre Dame. What should have been, but what isn't.
Injuries, man.
Teams overcome injuries.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that they are.
They're pretty depleted.
Virginia Syracuse will be a big game to watch this weekend. What other games are you keeping your eye on as Saturday unfolds?
I'm going to be looking at Vanderbilt and Auburn. Vanderbilt almost upsetted Kentucky this past Tuesday. I was pretty amped. I wasn't in class. I was hoping that they would beat them, but they did not. So I'll be looking at that. I'm pretty sure Auburn's going to win that game. Alabama, Florida. I think Alabama's going to win that game. And I'm going to be watching Notre Dame and NC State. I think Notre Dame finally finds a way to get out of their slump and they win their first game against NC State.
You think they're going to
not win their first game, but win their first game in a while.
And NC State has wins over Duke and North Carolina. You think Notre Dame can beat? Hashtag hot take.
Dude, don't talk to me about you think that team could beat this team in college basketball. Anything can happen. Anything.
I'm the head of the campaign for anything can happen.
I don't need to give you a reason of why I think they're going to beat them.
It'd be nice.
I would love for you to give me a reason of why Middle Tennessee even competed a little bit with Michigan State back in 2015.
Give you a reason?
Yeah.
Because they can shoot. Giddy Potts was one of the... That might have been the year he led the country in three-point shooting. And You have a guy like Reggie Upshaw up front who just straight battled Michigan State forwards, and they hit their shots and they put them behind early, and they made Michigan State face adversity that they didn't face in a while. And
very easy to say after the fact, but if I would have told you before that game that, I'm taking Middle Tennessee, you would have laughed in my face. You would have ended the podcast right there, right now. You would have been like, "Go home, Brian. I don't want to talk to you about college basketball anymore."
Put a snippet of the audio just to prove you wrong, and then I would have deleted it when I went. I go NC State.
There you go.
Just I like to rally up and press buttons. It's fun. But no, I think NC State's going to beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, I know.
I'll snip this for when it's right, too. And then delete it when I'm wrong.
That's your opinion. Good thing.
No.
Do you think St. John's has any chance of beating number 4 Duke?
Happen. They did only lose to Xavier by 5.
Madison Square Gardens.
That was a home game for St. John's, too, so they could. It's not everybody.
Oh, you know who else is playing this weekend? Lehigh and
sarcasm,
Boston
but it's
University.
actually going to be a decent game.
Yes.
So I'd yell at you like Larry Eustace would, but you'd get offended and probably cry and complain.
St. Joseph's versus LaSalle. Boom.
I just want to yell at you, call you something, but then you'll complain and I'll have an investigation for my conduct too.
Alcorn State versus Jackson State. Come on, man. I'm not leaving my house on Saturday. Okay, this is the winner. Drake versus Bradley. Love it.
That'll be a good game.
Love it.
ESPN
3.
Two top teams in Missouri Valley. You joke. It's a good game to watch.
Love it.
You should.
Games you got?
I should make that homework for you to watch. Educate yourself.
I already got so much homework that I haven't been doing, so.
Because you've been sipping those
They're
honey
good,
lemon
man.
teas.
And I need to get better.
Well, get off it and do your homework. Priorities. But I'm looking at Houston, Central Florida. Houston's on that bubble right now of March Madness. They can use a nice road win over the Knights. Miami, Virginia Tech, two teams kind of on that bubble as well. Both 5 and 4 in ACC play, so they could both use a win. Miami is not healthy. Virginia Tech haven't really lived up to their expectations coming into the season. So that'll be one to watch. And then BYU, number 14, Gonzaga. Every year they always have good games. The West Coast Conference is always good at the top. So with BYU, Gonzaga, St. Mary's, San Diego this season even in the picture as well. So, but again, every game is worth watching. You get people that list these certain games to watch on social media and whatnot every day. Every game's a good one to watch.
Including Winthrop and Radford.
Battle of first place teams in the Big South. But with the level of parity and the unexpectedness of college basketball this season, every game is one to keep an eye on because anything can happen.
No, not really. Not anything can't happen.
You just said earlier in the show, anything can happen. And now you're trying to backpedal out of that.
Pressing your buttons. I'm pressing your buttons.
Well, you pressed the wrong one. You pressed the rewind to try to retract your statement. Didn't work.
Oh,
Didn't
nice. Work. Nice. Was that on a VCR
Good
or
effort,
a DVD player?
Good effort.
I'm sick. Why are you messing with me?
Well, whose fault's that?
I woke up early.
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
To record this with you?
No, you should be doing your homework.
Dude, I could be sleeping right now.
Give this to your mother. Tell her this is what you're doing with your time.
Sorry, Bob.
Sorry.
Sorry, Bob.
But with that, we will wrap it up for today. I will be back myself on Monday to look at the weekend that was, the week that will be, the two of us, barring Ryan surviving the week with his man cold.
I'll be back.
He may be back Friday if he survives. If not, it'll be me again. But until then, enjoy the weekend, and I will talk to you on Monday. Cheers.
Stay healthy.